Hello, YouTube movie people. Welcome back to Criterion Collection Part 5. As always, a reminder that if you're interested in my channel and following what I'm watching, check me out on Letterboxd, which I will post in the description below. But other than that, let's dig right into some goodies we have today to talk about in our continuing exploration of my Criterion Blu-ray collection. First in the running order today is a movie which I actually mentioned a couple episodes ago, and that is L'Eclisse by Michelangelo Antonioni, the third film in the modern Malaise trilogy. I think that's what they call it. Contemporary Malaise trilogy is what they call it on Criterion. Which is from 1962. I'm pretty sure these movies came out in 60, 61, and 62, or very, very close in that order. Again, this kind of explores the discontents of humans and human relationships in modern society that has done away with maybe a more spiritual, wholesome side of the self that past people might have done. Or might have had, rather. Again, this has Alain Delon in it, which I've talked about previously, like one of my favorite actors and just the most handsome dude ever. And yeah, that's him on the cover, and it's about a woman who drifts between relationships and the dissatisfaction that all of these people have with their lives in the modern world. I actually have not seen this one yet. I talked about previously that I'm sort of holding off on the contemporary Malaise trilogy until I can kind of see it all and absorb it in one thing and probably make a video covering it eventually. But yeah, it's just one that I've picked up to watch eventually. 1962. This is spine number 278, and that is L'Eclisse. I hope I'm coming close to saying it right. Oh boy, guys. This next one is a stone-cold mother-flippin' classic. That is Masaki Kobayashi's Harakiri, alternately known as seppuku, which I think mean the same thing, possibly different variations of either way ritual suicide in Japan. This stars Tatsuya Nakarai, who also worked with Kobayashi on a number of movies. They did the Human Condition trilogy together. I think Samurai Rebellion, I think he was in. Anyway, Kobayashi is a really awesome director from the little that I've seen of him, but this movie is absolutely fantastic. Nakarai is so good in this. It starts off a little slow. It's kind of about this story of wandering samurai, like masterless samurai ronins who are going to different lords' domains and asking to commit harakiri in their like ritual room or whatever that the Lord has. And the idea is that if you ask somebody to do that, then maybe they'll think that you're so righteous and so, samurai spirited that instead of killing yourself, they'll like hire you or give you money or something like that. So, and then basically a bunch of samurai start doing it. So it becomes this whole thing of like, it's this gamble of like, okay, you go and you say you're going to sacrifice your life. But really, you're kind of hoping that they just think, oh, wow, this guy's so great. So then you get out of the whole thing. And anyway, it's about this samurai who goes to do that. And then the whole movie kind of unfolds as this extended dialogue between this samurai and the lord or the man that has gone to his domicile. And all of these different things slide into place towards the end, and it ends with an amazing sword fight. Really, really excellent. This is, I think, easily one of the best samurai movies of all time, and also interestingly sort of takes apart and really criticizes like the samurai ethos, the whole idea of pride and honor over everything else, and like being so concerned with things that are not really pragmatic or practical and just being concerned with like appearing to be such a great person. So it's really like a sort of a scathing indictment of that whole system of like honor taken to the extreme, but at the same time manages to be an amazing samurai film within the genre. So it's really quite cool. Definitely, absolutely check it out. It might have won the Palme d'Or. No, it won the Festival Jury Prize. in 1962, and yeah, I think it definitely is worthy of your time as much as any movie from the 60s is. So absolutely check out Harakiri. This next one, heavy sigh on this one. It's one that I want to like so much that by all rights I should love. You know, people like John Woo and different actor or directors and action stars and stuff always talk about Jean-Pierre Melville, and particularly this movie, as such a huge influence, and that is Les Samurai. And it even has frickin' Alain Delon in it, my favorite man crush guy. And yet, something about this movie does not come together for me. I've seen it multiple times. It was pretty recently brought out on Blu-ray from Criterion. I picked it up like almost day one. I was like, I gotta get into this. I gotta like this movie. And just something doesn't come together. Aesthetically and stylistically, it's so cool. I mean, it just exudes fucking coolness. You know, the big overcoat and the hat. Everybody's smoking and nightclubs and assassins, hitmen. It should be my favorite thing, but I just don't care for it. I think it spends so much time on the particularities and the sort of minutia of like getting booked by the police and then what happens then and then going. It's like very, very process oriented, very much breaking down kind of how these things would happen, how you would go about doing these things, how you would go about setting up your alibi and getting out of the police station, and, you know, somebody screws you, so how would you go about getting back at them? And just for whatever reason, all that kind of focus on process just kind of leaves me cold. I don't know, like, it's stylistically, it's so cool. I'd love to know what you guys think of it, because I know it's considered kind of a classic of, like, you know, French New Wave, 1967. Excellent director, excellent actor. Just for me, it just never clicks into place. So, yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm going to give it more chances, but I just don't know. It doesn't do something for me. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. I kind of feel that way with Melville in general, actually. So, yeah, let me know.
Une interprétation hors de pair. Une réalisation magistrale. Un film exceptionnel.
Il vient de sortir de l'immeuble et a pris le métro.
Suivez-le. Enfin, essayez.
Le Samouraï, un film de Jean-Pierre Melville.
Here we have next in the collection a movie that I watched last year. This might have been actually my greatest discovery of 2017 of a film that I hadn't seen or hadn't even heard of so far, and that is Naked by Mike Leigh, starring David Thewlis, who you may know as Remus Lupin from the Harry Potter movies, or as Ares, the God of War in Wonder Woman. Weird casting, that one, I thought. But this is a fucking excellent movie. It's from 1993. It's about, you know, David Thewlis plays, who's Johnny, this kind of, oh man, what a guy. This like nihilistic, existential, drifter, womanizer, alcoholic, prone to violent births, but like at the same time kind of charming and like roguish. It's an interesting movie, and the dialogue is phenomenal. This Mike Leigh does this kind of pre-production method where he gets together with all these actors and they improvise in character for extended periods of time. Like, I think months on this they worked, just improvising in character. And then he basically constructs a screenplay out of those improvisations. So, like, once the actors have lived the character so much and are just living and talking and breathing and moving like that character, then the screenplay is formed out of all those things that they came up with together, out of improvisation. Which means that this might be the best, one of, if not the best, screenplays that I can remember seeing in a while. I mean, the dialogue is just incredible, and it just kind of follows Johnny as he bumbles through England and meets people and then leaves them and finds other people and crashes on people's couches and gets into fights with people. And it's it's just this really, really brilliant examination of kind of that feeling of the 90s in England and everywhere, the kind of like the feeling that the 2000s are coming, the millennium is ending, this sort of end of the world like bummer sort of that like is just, it's sort of what we were talking about with Antonioni, the disillusionment with modern society, and like now it's even grown further to where it feels like, man, is everything really ending? Is everything really falling apart? Like, what are we even doing here anymore? And it really tackles a lot of those questions and has a lot of amazing conversations between David Thewlis and different other characters, kind of really parsing out that whole idea of like, what the fuck is the point anymore? Everything is just shit. But at the same time, it is so completely and compellingly watchable. I would highly, highly recommend this. I've trailed off on about it, and just saying all these things off the top of my head, but you got to see it for yourself. Naked, Mike Leigh, an absolutely essential pickup in my opinion.
Naked, a new film by Mike Leigh.
Here's another goodie from the 90s, not only the 90s, but the exact same year, 1993. This is Richard Linklater's Dazed and Confused. Cool packaging, actually. Criterion hasn't really done one like this before, but it has the kind of slide-in, like, scribbled-on high school notebook kind of look. I really love this movie. I don't think it's going to be for everyone. I think some people will watch it and just think, like, it was a stupid stoner comedy, but I think there's a lot of, as is the case with Linklater's stuff, like, it really gives you that feeling of nostalgia or like comfort or something, like seeing all these kind of aspects of past times being celebrated. I had it at the same with Everybody Wants Some, the movie he made, which is kind of a spiritual successor to this. This is about like some different students at a high school in Texas on the last day of school before summer. And yeah, just what they get up to, the younger like freshman kids trying to escape spankings from the older guys, and some of the nerds trying to fit in with other people, some of the stoners trying to just get high, some people trying to hook up with other people. It's just this whole collage of like different aspects of life in high school, and especially in the 70s. Like the soundtrack is really killer, kind of sets the mood for that time period. It totally depends on you as a viewer if you're going to get this or if you're going to enjoy Linklater stuff, because it's his movies are sort of like, in some sense, without conflict. Like there's not like a central like bad guy or bad thing in any of these. It's just sort of like this soup of stuff happening at any time, and you just have to kind of wade through it and see what you think about it. So I really like this movie a lot. Dazed and Confused has some very iconic Matthew McConaughey creeperness in it. Some of my favorite lines from McConaughey ever. You got a joint, man? No. Be a lot cooler if you did. Like, oh, dude, his character's so good. So, yeah, I would recommend checking out Dazed and Confused. You may love it and you may hate it, but, yeah, give it a whirl.
What time is your party tonight, man?
9:30, man.
Go to a party?
Go to a party?
Come on. Mike, don't worry about it. It's under control.
I don't generally feel comfortable.
Yeah, okay. Pick us up at 8.
Coach gave me something to give to you. You guys are actually signing this crap? Apparently.
Randy Floyd, before next fall, you're in need of a serious attitude adjustment, young man. You better get your priorities straight.
This is my sole DVD Criterion release, and that is The Fallen Idol by Carol Reed. I just picked it up at some point at a used bookstore, I think when I was in college, and I've just held on to it because I think it's out of print, and it hasn't been released on DVD again, or on Blu-ray, that is. It's from 1948. It's from a time period when Carol Reed was working The Third Man, and then Odd Man Out, and what's it say on the back? Our Man in Havana. Yeah, this whole, like, kind of refining the specific feeling of black and white, noir-esque, mystery kind of thing. I don't remember this movie very well at all, but I know if you're into that kind of time period, especially like The Third Man, you should give it a look-see. From 1948, spine number 357. I wish this would get a Blu-ray release, because if I remember when I watched it, it has really nice black and white cinematography. So yeah, not that familiar with Carol Reed or this movie in particular, but one I have on the shelf.
To Your Excellency, it's been a long time.
This film is one that I basically know nothing about. It is The Double Life of Veronika by Krzysztof Kozlowski. Yeah, I really don't. I don't know anything about the specifics of this film, but Kozlowski himself is somebody who I'm extremely interested in. Probably best known for his Decalogue series, which was originally like made for TV movies in Poland. Which, yeah, I'll get to it eventually. It's in the collection, right? We'll talk about it. But I have seen his Red, White, and Blue trilogy, and they blew me away. And what I've seen from the Decalogue, I really liked as well. Yeah, he's just a masterful filmmaker. This is from 1991. I don't know really anything about it, except I think it's one actress playing different roles of like doubles on the Double Life of Veronika, right? Of two different women, and they're linked together. That's basically all I know. I've read some excellent recommendations and reviews on it, so I picked it up for cheap somewhere. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this and Kozlowski in general, because I think he's a real sort of master of craft in a more subtle way than kind of some of the other directors. I mean, I think his movie Red was up against like Pulp Fiction for the Palme d'Or, right? So it's kind of like the two sides of cinema, right? Like the brash bad boy Tarantino stuff and the kind of like old master like subtlety of that. It's interesting dichotomy, but yeah, double out or don't. Let me know what you think about it.
Pendant toute ma vie, j'ai eu l'impression d'être à la fois ici et ailleurs. Je sens toujours ce que je dois faire.
This next one we have, I think, out of all the movies we've seen so far in my collection, I think this is the most recent. From 1995, that is La Haine? I'm sorry, French is bad. La Haine, it is, which I mean, it means hatred or hate in French, by Mathieu Kassovitz. This movie is a fucking whirlwind, man. I rewatched this pretty recently after not having seen it for a couple years. It holds up. It is a fucking kick in the face, punch in the gut. It is tough. It's funny in places. It's poignant in places. It's brash and youthful and punk and, you know, anarchist in places. It's just wild. It's about these three young men in sort of living outside of Paris, I think. In like these French slums in the early 90s, and it's about police brutality and police riots against sort of racialization in France and police stuff. Seems pretty familiar these days in America, right? But one of them is Jewish, one of them is like African, and one is Arabic. So it's sort of like this African Arab, like sort of living in the slums, you know, fucking hating the world around them and France, you know, as a political entity and the police and all that stuff. It has a lot of anger and a lot of rage. The ending especially is like soul crushing. I mean, just absolutely gut wrenching. And yeah, the whole thing will keep you on your toes. I can't recommend it highly enough. It's one of my favorite movies for sure. If you like Vincent Cassel, who you may know from a variety of different movies, probably maybe in America best known for his work in the Oceans movies as like the French like master thief guy. He's excellent in this. The other two guys I don't actually know that well, but they all go by their first names, Hubert and Saeed. Yeah, I mean, fucking awesome movie. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, you gotta get on this because it just has so much rage and the anger of youth, but it's executed so well. It just brings together the kind of the feelings of anger and the excellent orchestration of the actual making of the movie. It's really beautiful. It's really brutal and honest and terrible in places, but it's everything, man. This is a fucking great movie. You gotta check it out. And that's all I got for today. I hope you guys enjoyed my little talk about of all these different movies. At the rate that we're going, it's probably going to take us like 10 episodes to get through this whole collection. Maybe I'll try to talk a little bit faster about them or have little smaller blurbs. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Are you enjoying the pacing, or should I just talk about each film a little bit less? I'm not really sure. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope you enjoy the next one when we get around to it. The Criterion Collection overview marches forth. Continues. The show must go on. We'll get through them all eventually, I promise. Thanks, guys.